Try turning the clock back about 600 years. Not to a modern cafe with shiny espresso machines, but to an ancient market in Central America, where Maya and Aztec traders exchanged goods beneath the blazing tropical sun. Among the items being traded is a strange, dark drink. It is thick, almost black, and carries an unfamiliar aroma. There is no sugar, no milk, no sweetness at all. When people taste it for the first time, the most common reaction is a frown. The flavor is bitter,
textiles are the finest cotton,
slightly sour,
woven by my family.
and sometimes even spicy, because it is mixed with chili peppers and various spices. And the funny thing is, they were not drinking it for pleasure. They drank it because they believed it was medicine. For the Maya and the Aztecs, cacao was not a dessert. It was a sacred beverage, something believed to boost energy, improve health, and even play a role in religious ceremonies. Cacao beans were so valuable that they were sometimes used as currency. A few beans could be exchanged for an avocado. A larger handful might buy clothing or tools. If an Aztec person could see a modern milk chocolate bar today, they would probably be extremely confused. In their eyes, that wouldn't even look like cacao anymore. It would seem more like a sugary candy than a powerful drink. And this is exactly where the story of chocolate starts to become truly strange. Because from a bitter medicine,
the large ones are
chocolate went through a transformation that lasted hundreds of years, eventually becoming one of the most popular sweets on the planet. In the world of the Maya and the Aztecs, cacao was never something you drank just for fun. It held a place that was almost sacred. Some legends even claim that the gods themselves had given the cacao tree to humanity as a precious gift. Because of this belief, cacao-based drinks often appeared in important rituals, religious ceremonies, and even royal events. But if you try to imagine drinking it yourself, the experience might be challenging. The cacao drink of that time was called exocolotl, and it was completely different from the hot chocolate we know today. Cacao beans were roasted, ground into a paste, then mixed with water and vigorously frothed. After that, people might add chili, natural vanilla, or other spices. The result was a dark liquid that was bitter, slightly spicy, and intense in flavor. It sounded more like a kind of soup than a dessert drink. And that is the key point. To ancient civilizations, cacao functioned almost like a natural energy drink. It contains caffeine and theobromine, two mild stimulants that help the body feel more alert. If you have ever drunk coffee and suddenly felt your mind become clearer, cacao can create a similar effect, just in a gentler way. Because of that, Aztec warriors often drank cacao before going into battle. Merchants drank it during long journeys. Meanwhile, the noble class treated it as a luxurious beverage reserved for the elite. In their eyes, cacao was not candy. It was something closer to nature's own tonic. But then history took a completely different turn when ships from Europe finally arrived on the shores of the Americas. When the Spanish first tasted cacao in the 16th century, their reaction was very similar to that of anyone encountering bitterness for the first time. They frowned. Some even thought the drink was rather unpleasant. But they quickly discovered something important. When cacao was mixed with sugar, its flavor changed completely. That moment marked the beginning of a new chapter for chocolate. At that time, sugar was still an expensive ingredient in Europe. Yet, when cacao was brought from the Americas and combined with sugar, it quickly became an extremely fashionable drink among the aristocracy. Sweet hot chocolate began appearing in Spanish royal courts. And from there, it gradually spread across France, Italy, and England. At first, chocolate continued to be consumed, mainly as a hot beverage. Over time, however, producers began experimenting with different ways to turn cacao into food.
The finest
milk
blend
was
the Indies
added,
has to offer, wouldn't you agree?
the flavor became much smoother and far easier to enjoy.
Have
By
you
the
tasted
19th
the latest
century,
shipment from Torino?
with the rise of
Superb,
industrial
my friend,
machinery,
truly superb.
chocolate began to be pressed into solid bars. In just a few hundred years, A bitter and spicy drink had transformed into a sweet dessert loved by children all around the world. If an Aztec warrior were to return today and taste a milk chocolate bar, he might believe it was an entirely different food. What was once considered medicine had become candy. Yet the irony is that modern humans now seem to be moving back toward that original bitterness. In recent decades, dark chocolate has gained attention because of the potential health benefits of cacao. People began talking about antioxidants, flavonoids, and possible cardiovascular benefits. As a result, an interesting trend emerged in the market. The more bitter the chocolate, the healthier it was believed to be. You can now find chocolate bars labeled 70% Bijvengebasher.
It's so sweet.
90% cacao.
I love it.
They often look more like nutritional products than candy. But there is a rather amusing contradiction here. Many of us claim to like dark chocolate because it is good for our health. Yet when the bitterness becomes too intense, we struggle to enjoy it. That is why chocolate makers constantly try to balance the natural bitterness of cacao with the sweetness of sugar. The result is that modern dark chocolate usually exists somewhere between two worlds.
See,
it is
this
no
brand
longer
has
as sweet
a high
as milk
flavonoid
chocolate,
count, which is super good
yet
for
it
your
is
skin.
not nearly
so
as
it's not
bitter
just a
as the
treat,
ancient
it's
cacao
skincare.
drink. It feels like a compromise between two very human instincts. On one side is our craving for sweetness, something that makes our brains feel comforted and happy. On the other side is our concern for health, which pushes us to choose foods that seem better for our bodies. And so, inside a small piece of chocolate, these two psychological forces quietly pull against each other. Perhaps that is one reason chocolate has endured for so long in human history.
Perfectly balanced for
It is
health.
not just a food. It is a story about how taste, science, and human psychology continue to evolve over time. So the next time you break off a piece of dark chocolate and let it slowly melt in your mouth, remember that you are tasting something that has traveled through thousands of years of history, from the sacred drink of the Maya gods
we know today.
to the luxury
From the
of
sacred
European royal
rituals of the
courts,
ancients to the refined
and finally
tastes of
to the
royalty,
chocolate bar you find in
chocolate has always
supermarkets
been a
today.
gift.
And if it tastes just a little bitter, our ancestors might smile and say, that is the true taste of cacao.